Hello everyone and welcome back to the channel. It's me, Lee, the Dorset Spur. It's been a while. Feels like the international break this time went on for about 6 months. We were away from football for so long. I'm not a big fan of international football. You know that. If you've watched my channel before, you'll know that very well. Of course, I was excited. Football was back, and of course, we have Chelsea, and Chelsea is a massive, massive game. If you're either a Chelsea fan or a Tottenham fan, we want to beat them, they want to beat us, and so on. So I was excited for the game, really excited for it. I'm going to be honest, because if you've seen me on any other channels, I did a preview with We Are Tottenham TV, where I called out my score prediction of 2-1 loss. And I also did a predictions video with Dave the Irish Hotspur, which is where I put my initial 2-1 loss prediction in. Now, that was kind of more in, expectation. My hope, of course, was that Tottenham were going to turn up and they were going to do the business. I spoke with Jimbo from Kate and Jimbo, the Perfect Match YouTube channel, and Jim was bullish. He thought we were going to win. He thought we had enough to do it, and so on. And he kind of had me stoked up, thinking, maybe Jim's keen. Maybe I should give it the benefit of the doubt. But of course, it wasn't to be. As we all know, we lost 1-0, and there was an element of controversy in the game. Both of us had a goal disallowed. So had those goals been allowed, we'd have ended up with a 2-1 defeat, as I'd called out. So I must have admit, when I having looked at the starting lineup, I did think to myself, actually, yes, a decent looking lineup. It's probably as strong as we could go. Didn't think there was too much in there to controversial. I guess Spence over Porro, because Spence has been so good on the left hand side that maybe he should have been played in place of Udogie and bring Porro in. I think the thing is with Porro is we've seen that actually Spence is a better defender than Porro. Porro is really good going forward, really good at crossing, can take a shot and so on. But actually, defensively, Spence is a little bit better. And then, of course, Udogie is a defender. So, again, good at going forward, but does have defensive qualities. So it kind of made sense from that point of view. The other one, I suppose, is Odebear. Odebear coming in as opposed to, say, Johnson or Tell even. But I think he's had a good kind of period having come back from his injury. So he looked really good when he first came back. He's scored a couple of goals recently. He's been away on international duty for the under-21, scored a goal or a couple of goals or whatever. So it looks like he's kind of in form, a lot more attack-minded, kind of taking players on and so on. Whereas with Johnson, more of a late arrival at the back post to kind of score a goal. So I didn't think there was too many kind of issues in there. But I did think that we really needed to be on our game. We really needed our key players to step up in this game. And for me, the middle of the park is probably the biggest area. Seeing Maddison in the team, I was happy with that, because I thought, well, that's at least there's some creativity in there. Bentancur over Bissouma for me made sense, because I'm just not keen on Bissouma at the moment. He seems to have lost his way, and that's a worry. We've not had the same kind of guy that we had that was at Brighton. So disappointed in him, in kind of what he's contributed certainly this season. So Bentancur was the obvious one, and then Bergvall coming in, I thought was really good, because again, there's another one who's kind of forced his way into the squad and has really showed a level of maturity and ability. But it could have quite easily just have been Sarr, to be fair. So it was kind of toss up between the two, and I wouldn't have been too disappointed either way. So yeah, but again, as soon as this game kicks off, we're hit straight away with a long ball over the top. Nicholas Jackson straight on it, showed really good strength and pace to get ahead, just about against Romero, neck and neck with Van de Ven. Vicario does as best he can, gets out in front of him, kind of puts him off. The ball ricochets back up and kind of heads back towards goal. And very, very fortunately, when Van de Ven hits the ball, he hits it against Jackson that then hits the post. Thank God it hit the post, but a real early warning there. And from there, it just seemed to get away from us totally. Chelsea dominated the ball, quick passing, movement. We just didn't seem to get hold of it at all. Our passing was poor, and the midfield was non-existent. There were players that you really wanted to see step up in terms of Maddison, for instance, and Bentancur, and Son, just really didn't seem on it at all. I mean, that's at one point, Son tried to play a 2-yard pass to Maddison, and they still messed that up. And it was like, Jesus Christ, what's going on here? We just cannot seem to string anything at all. And to be honest with you, we were really, really lucky to get in 0-0 at half time. I thought Jadon Sancho looked really good as well. And I know he's kind of been called out by Chelsea as not being all that, but when he plays us, he for me, he's a sort of player I think I'd love to see him at Tottenham, someone like him. But the question around him remains his kind of attitude and his consistency, which is the same for a lot of players, right? Consistency is a real problem and something that we're really, really struggling with. So, of course, we come out second half and give away, inevitably give away a sloppy goal. Cole Palmer puts a inch perfect ball in, which is really annoying because actually it was we played it into ourselves. We were too dilly-dallying around the back trying to get the ball out, hits it against someone that then bobbles back. Palmer gets the ball and then puts this inch perfect cross in, and Fernandes is standing right in the middle between two defenders and just easy header. All uphill from there, all uphill from there, and at that point I was kind of fearing the worst. To be fair, and then of course, not that long after that, they score their second goal. But it's a strange one, isn't it? Because it was a perfectly hit shot, really good goal. Caicedo, I think it was, and then it gets called up for VAR for offside, and I'm looking at it and I'm like, I can't see an offside here. I really can't see an offside here. I don't know where that's coming from. There was one player, I think it probably was Jackson, who, if they were kind of taking it from him, I thought, yeah, he's offside. But he didn't touch the ball. He wasn't interfering with play. It kind of went to the next player on. And I just thought, that's far too tight to tell. It went on for an age. And then, as luck would have it from our point of view, that goal gets disallowed, which, I'd take it all day long. But it wasn't right in my view. I didn't feel that was the right decision. I thought it was, if it's that close and that tight, it shouldn't be disallowed in my view. But I'll take it because it's Chelsea versus Tottenham, and it gave us another bite of the cherry. And from there, I think Chelsea did tend to kind of fall off a little bit. They were defending a little bit deeper, trying to just play the long ball over the top, which kind of works for them, I guess, because they know that we defend high and so on. So it kind of made sense for them to play that way when they were defending their goal, because obviously this gives them top four, gets them into the top four for now anyway. And they were kind of pushing, and we started to ask a few questions, here and there. It started to look like we were maybe stringing a few things together, but not really convincing in my view. Ange makes his substitutions, and at this point, I was like really surprised. He took off Odegaard for Johnson, and he took off Bergvall for Sarr. Now, trying to be level-headed about it and trying to be sort of sensible about it, I kind of think, well, okay, Odegaard, you're taking him off because you want someone who's able to put the ball in the back of the net coming late at the back post. Okay. I think that kind of made sense. But Odegaard was probably our best player on the night. And so was it the right call to take him off, or could he have maybe moved him to the left-hand side where he can play as well, and then maybe taken Son off, because Son wasn't doing anything, in my view. I didn't feel like he contributed an awful lot at all in the game. I think he had one opportunity, which ironically came from Johnson, where the keeper made, Sanchez, made a really good save, threw himself across the box and saved their skins there. So I think that was the only thing that Son really did in the game that was kind of worth any note. And so maybe he could have taken that option and switched them over. The Sarr and Bergvall, again, another one, like I said at the beginning, it could have been either of them starting the game. But I thought Bergvall, out of the three in midfield, was probably the strongest, probably contributed the most. But again, if you take off Maddison, then you do lose that creativity. There's no one else creative in that middle. And so I go, well, I suppose he's got to do that. The one who you would want in that position maybe would be Kulusevski, and obviously he's out injured, so there's no option there. So it kind of made sense, I guess, if you're going to make changes, that's the change you're going to make. That then cost some flack, because obviously the fans then started booing and singing, "You don't know what you're doing." Probably for the reasons I've just kind of pointed out, that there are other players you probably could have taken off before those two, because those two were probably your better players at that point. So I get why the fans were booing and singing and so on. And this then leads to the point where I think it's something like 4 minutes after the substitution, Sarr thunders the ball into the back of the net. And Ange Postecoglou then is cupping his ear as if to say, yeah, what are you saying now? Do I not know what I'm doing? Of course, he's denied that. He said that's not the case. What he was trying to do was, hear the fans, getting up for it, because we've just scored. I don't believe you. I don't believe you, Ange, because there's other ways of doing that. If you score a goal and you want to get the fans going, you face them and you give them a yes, come on, So you give them a come on, something along those lines. This is universally known as the kind of celebration where people go, yeah, what are you saying now? We see footballers doing it all the time. So I don't buy that, and I'm surprised that he wasn't honest enough to say, yeah, I was reacting to their call out of not knowing what I'm doing, which I think he's entitled to do, to a certain extent. He's entitled to his opinion, in the same way that he says that fans are entitled to their opinion. They can call it out, they can say what they like, they pay their money, they take their chances. So I get where he's coming from, and it's an emotional sport, and so sometimes your emotion runs over. So he could have explained it a bit better than that, rather than hiding behind something that's clearly not true. But of course, we all know what happened then. It goes to VAR, and then we take forever and a day to see what was a clear and obvious error. It should have been disallowed for a foul. We could all see it. We saw it straight away. Why it took so long, I don't know. My hope was that they were looking at it and thinking about the intent, maybe. Say, well, did he intend to foul, or was it just a coming together? Was it more the Chelsea player stepping into it rather than the Tottenham player nicking the ball? Because if you look at it, the defending Chelsea player kind of stepped in, so he's trying to do that pivot. When they step across to stop the momentum, and it was just unfortunate for him that Sarr managed to get the ball. Now, I think he did take the player. Now, once we knew that it was being given as a foul, my next concern was, is this going to be a red card, right? Because it was knee high and his foot was up, studs are out. And so potentially that could have been a red card, in my view. So I was all concerned about that. So I was happy that we didn't get the red card, but disappointed that we didn't get the goal, which would have given us something out of that game. Not that I think we really deserved it. I don't. I thought we were really, really poor. The front just don't seem to be gelling. The midfield are missing, and it's a real worry, because this is your strongest team that's back playing one of your biggest rivals after having a break from football. Bear in mind, we didn't have a game at the weekend either. So even if they had been away on international duty, they've still had a break coming back. So really disappointed with that. I absolutely feel for Solanke as well, because I feel that the guy runs and runs and runs, and he gets absolutely no service. No one puts the ball in high for him to header. No one sort of plays it into his feet so he can turn and shoot. No one slips the ball into him. No one's picking him up. He's just kind of running around trying to make something happen. He drops deep into midfield even to get on the ball, and that I feel like he's going to get persecuted for his lack of goals when actually he's getting absolutely no service. So how is he supposed to score goals if he's not getting played the ball, and he's too busy trying to create because nobody else is creating? So a really difficult watch, really disappointing watch, but not an unexpected result, if I'm being honest. Because I just didn't see us ever winning there. We just never seem to, and it's got to be a club mindset problem, and that probably filters down to the fans. We're probably as much of a problem as anybody, because ultimately we're the ones calling it out on YouTube or Twitter or whatever that we don't think we're going to get anything. So then when you don't get anything, you shouldn't be surprised. And I'm sure that feeds into the Cubs mentality. So yeah, I was really gutted and disappointed over the game. I think the baiting of Ange Postecoglou after the game was interesting as well. I think the media are really getting at him now. They know he's on the ropes. He's almost like that punch-drunk boxer who's on the ropes getting pummeled, and they kind of just keep chucking things at him to see if they can break him. And he does look broken, and I think that's probably what led to the cupping of the year. He's probably just taken so much flack that he doesn't know where he's going from here, and it's just not working. And I think ultimately, win the Europa League or don't win the Europa League, I think at the end of the season he's gone regardless. I don't personally agree with the idea of getting rid of him now. I think he may as well see the campaign out. I don't believe that there's anybody else who's going to come in who's going to do a much better at this point to win the Europa League. I don't. There's not a Jose Mourinho that you can kind of just walk in, who's out of work, who can walk in and go, well, I'm going to win that competition. So close to the end of it, just because he's Jose Mourinho and he wins competitions. I don't see that there's anyone around from that point of view. I don't see anyone else leaving their clubs and so on. I don't trust Ryan Mason to do it. Absolutely not. So yeah, we are where we are. There's going to be change at the end of the season, regardless, I think. And if I was Ange Postecoglou, if I'm being honest, if I was Ange Postecoglou and I did happen to win this competition by hook or by crook, I think I'd walk out of. I'd stand on the town hall balcony, or on the open top bus, with the trophy, and I'd be holding it up like that, saying, "Yeah, that's it," and I'd be walking away, because I don't think you can top it once you've done something like that. I don't think you'll be able to top it, which I think was the point that Pochettino was making in the Champions League final. I think if he'd have won the Champions League, he'd have walked away regardless anyway, because I don't think you could top it. Not at Tottenham anyway. So yeah, so it doesn't feel bright at the moment. It feels a bit miserable. We've got Southampton at the weekend, and if we can't beat Southampton, then we are in massive trouble from that point of view. We're not going down. I get it. We're not going down. There's teams worse than us at the bottom there. So don't think we're going down, but we're in line for our worst season, worst finish in the season, worst placement in the Premier League. And it's gonna be a long way back. I know that Ange Postecoglou initially was brought in to unite the fans, unite the players, and set a direction and everything else. And I thought he worked hard at doing that initially. We had some good football at the start of that season. We won. We didn't lose for 10 games. We built momentum. The feel-good factor was around. People stopped, chanting about the owners and all the rest of it, and started getting behind the project. But of course, that's a long time ago now, and we've had nothing but bad times since then. We've had a few good results against a few teams. We've beaten Man City really well. We've pummeled them. We've beaten Liverpool at home. We've beaten Man United. We've beaten West Ham. We've beaten Villa. We've beaten Brentford. We've beaten Everton. We've had some good results, just not consistently enough. And of course, with the worst run of injuries you'll ever see, hasn't helped. But we cannot keep just harping on about that and seeing that as Ange's way out. So, yeah, really, really disappointing. But it is what it is. I know for me now, it's about where we go from here. What matches have we got? What have we got left? What points are we going to pick up? To see where we end up at the end of the season. I'm not sure where we're kind of seeing any kind of improvement. If I'm being honest, there's still some difficult games to go, isn't there? So yeah, it's a difficult one. But listen, we can only take it one game at a time. I know we've still got West Ham to play, I think, as well. So that'll be another one where pride will be really, really at stake. Lose that one because they'll be definitely looking for their revenge against us there. That could be an interesting one. But listen, for me, it's about the Europa League now. If we can get past Frankfurt, which isn't a given, then we'll see where we go from there. And winning that Europa League would be a massive achievement, absolutely massive achievement, and take all this doom and gloom away in one foul swoop. But again, a big ask, and for me, I think we need some consistency in results to be able to say, yeah, we're going to win that. Anyway, I'll leave it there. Thanks for watching, and good to have you back. Please do give me a thumbs up if you like this video. Leave us a comment if you've got anything to say about it. Give your opinion and so on. I'll read them all. And if you don't subscribe to the channel, please do consider giving us a sub. It doesn't cost you anything. You don't even have to watch the videos. It just means we got a subscription, and it means that the algorithm works in our favour. But anyway, thanks for watching, as I say, and I'll see you on the next one. As always, up the Spurs.